CIET NCERT presents the audiobook Curiosity, Textbook of Science for Class 6.
Chapter 7, Temperature and its Measurement. Page 123. Wrong measurements are worse than no measurements at all. Anna Money. On the left side of the page, a picture of two school-going children is given. Lambok and his elder sister, Phoeben, live in Shillong. One day, they come home from school. Their parents were away at work and Lambok complained that he was feeling feverish. Phoeben touched his forehead and felt that he might be having a fever. To confirm this, she took out the thermometer kept in the almirah. She washed its tip with soap and water and measured Lambok's temperature. To her relief, she found that his temperature was normal. She washed the temperature tip again, dried it and put it back. She then asked Lambok to change his school uniform, eat his lunch and rest for some time. On the right side of the page is a question box. Can it always be correctly judged that a person has fever only by touching the person? Section 7.1. Hot or cold? We know from experience that some bodies are hotter than others. For example, during summers, the tap water may be hotter than the cold water from a matka, earthen pot or a refrigerator. Page 124. We can realize this by merely touching the two samples of water. But can we always rely upon our senses of touch? Let us find out. Activity 7.1. Let us investigate. In the center of the page are two images with a schoolgirl dipping her hand in 3 containers. The image describes the experiment, feeling of hotness or coldness of water by dipping hands. 1. Take 3 large containers and label them A, B and C. 2. Pour warm water in container A, tap water in B and ice-cold water in C. 3. We will conduct this activity in 2 parts, prediction and observation. 4. Firstly, predict what will you feel if you A. Dip your right hand in A and left hand in C and then keep them there for 1 or 2 minutes. B. Take out your hands from container A and C and place both hands simultaneously in B. 5. Write down your predictions. A. What will my right hand feel on dipping in B? Write your answer in the space provided. B. What will my left hand feel on dipping in B? Write your answer in the space provided. 6. Now conduct the activity and write your observations. Write your observations in the space provided. Page 125. Compare whether your observations match with your predictions. Did your right hand feel that the water in container B is cool while your left hand felt the same water is warm? What do you infer from these observations? We cannot always rely on our sense of touch to decide correctly whether a body is hot or cold. On the right side of the page is an image of a schoolgirl asking a question. Then how do we find out how hot or cold a body is? Section 7.2. Temperature. A reliable measure of hotness or coldness of a body is its temperature. A hotter body has a higher temperature than a colder body. The difference in temperature between the two bodies tells us how hot a body is in comparison to another body. A device that measures temperature is called a thermometer. There are 2 kinds of thermometers that you are likely to come across: clinical thermometers and laboratory thermometers. Clinical thermometers are used to measure human body temperatures, whereas laboratory thermometers are used for many other purposes. Let us now learn more about thermometers and how to use them to measure temperature. Section 7.3 Measuring Temperature. Section 7.3.1 Clinical Thermometer. You might be familiar with a thermometer. On the bottom of the page is an image of a thermometer. A thermometer, which is used for measuring our body temperature, is called a clinical thermometer. Such thermometers show temperatures digitally. These are also known as digital clinical thermometers and run on batteries. These measure temperature when the thermometer is placed in contact with a person's body. Page 126. For measuring temperature, the clinical thermometers generally use a scale called the Celsius scale. On this scale, the unit of temperature is degree Celsius and is denoted by a degree and capital C. In the middle of the page is a box with the title, Do You Know? Earlier, mercury thermometers were used for measuring the body temperatures. But mercury is extremely toxic substance and is difficult to dispose of if the thermometer breaks accidentally. Digital thermometers pose no such risk, and also numbers in the display are very easy to read. Therefore, mercury thermometers are being replaced by digital thermometers. Temperature in a digital thermometer is determined with the help of heat sensors. An image of a thermometer is given in the box. On the bottom of the page is an image of a schoolboy asking, during the COVID-19 pandemic, some special thermometers were used which could measure the temperature of a person from a distance. What were those? On the bottom of the page is the answer to the boy's question with a picture of a girl wearing a mask and getting her temperature checked. They are non-contact thermometers, also called infrared thermometers. Such thermometers can measure temperature without touching a person's body and thus reduce the risk of spreading disease. Page 127. On the right side of the page is a box that says precautions. These are the precautions that need to be taken while using a digital clinical thermometer. 1. To be used after reading the instructional manual of the thermometer. 2. Tip of the thermometer is to be washed with soap and water before and after use. 3. While washing, care to be taken to keep the digital portion such as the display out of water. 4. Do not hold the thermometer by the tip. Activity 7.2. Let us measure. Let us now use a digital clinical thermometer to measure body temperature. You may measure your own temperature as well as temperature of some of your friends. Talk to your friends to find out who would be willing to get their body temperatures measured by you. 1. Wash your hands and the tip of the digital thermometer with soap and water. 2. Reset the thermometer by pressing the reset button. 3. Place the thermometer under the tongue and close your mouth. 4. Wait till the thermometer makes a beeping sound or flashes a light. 5. Take it out from the mouth and read the temperature on the digital display. 6. Record the temperature in Table 7.1. Table 7.1. Body temperatures of 10 persons. In this table, there are 3 columns: serial number, name, and temperature. In the 10 rows given below, you need to write the names of your friends and their temperature. 7. Clean the tip of the thermometer with soap and water and dry it. 8. Repeat the above steps for measuring the temperatures of your friends. Page 128. The normal temperature of a healthy human body is taken to be 37 degrees centigrade. But in this activity, did you find that the normal temperature of every person was 37 degrees centigrade? Or did you find the temperature slightly higher or lower for some people? The temperature of every person may not be 37 degrees centigrade. What we call normal temperature is the average body temperature of a large number of healthy people. A perfectly healthy person may therefore have a normal temperature slightly different from 37 degrees centigrade. The body temperature is influenced by several factors such as age, time of the day, and activity level. You may try measuring your own temperature at different times of the day and on different days. Record the thermometer readings in your notebook. After a month, analyze your temperature record and see if there are any variations. If yes, try to think what might be the reason for that. The temperature of human beings does not normally go below 35 degrees centigrade or above 42 degrees centigrade. For measuring the body temperature of small children or old people, the digital thermometer can also be placed in the armpit. The temperature measured this way is about 0.5 degrees to 1 degree lower than the actual body temperature. On the left side of the page are two question boxes. Do small children generally have slightly higher body temperatures as compared to adults? Do old people, even when healthy, generally have lower body temperatures than young adults? On the bottom of the page is the image of a schoolgirl saying, "I have seen a friend of mine using a digital thermometer that reads temperature on a different scale. It shows the normal temperature of a healthy human body as 98.6 degree Fahrenheit. What is the reason for this difference?" There is another scale of temperature known as Fahrenheit scale. On this scale, the unit of temperature is degree Fahrenheit and is denoted by degree and capital F. A temperature measured as 37 degrees centigrade on Celsius scale is equivalent to 98.6 degree Fahrenheit on the Fahrenheit scale. The Fahrenheit scale is not used in most scientific studies anymore. In scientific work, there is another scale of temperature known as Kelvin scale. On this scale, the unit for temperature is Kelvin and is denoted by a capital K. The SI unit of temperature is Kelvin. Page 129. On the right side of the page is a box with the title More to Know. We can easily convert the temperature from Celsius scale to Kelvin scale by using a formula. Temperature in Kelvin scale is equal to temperature in Celsius scale plus 273.15. The names of temperature scales, Celsius scale, Fahrenheit scale, and Kelvin scale start with a capital letter. For the units of temperature, degree Celsius and degree Fahrenheit, the word degree starts with a lowercase letter, while Celsius and Fahrenheit start with a capital letter. The unit Kelvin starts with a lowercase letter. The symbol of all units, degree Celsius, degree Fahrenheit, and Kelvin, are capital letters. Note that the degree sign is not written with Kelvin. A full stop is not written after the symbol except at the end of a sentence. While writing the temperature, a space is left between the number and the unit. For temperature more than 1 degree, use the plural of degree, that is degrees, while writing the full form of the unit. On the bottom of the page is a box with the title, Do you know? How was fever detected before thermometers were developed? Fever affects the pulse rate of a person. This was known even in olden days in India. However, apart from fever, some other situations also affect the pulse rate. Hence, pulse rate alone is not a reliable indicator of fever. On the left side of the page is a question box. Can a clinical thermometer be used for measuring the temperature of boiling water or measuring the temperature of ice? On the bottom of the page is answer to the question. No, the temperatures of boiling water and ice are outside the range of a clinical thermometer. On the right side of a page is a schoolboy asking the question, how can we measure temperatures beyond the range of a clinical thermometer? All three temperature scales, Celsius, Fahrenheit and Kelvin, are named in honor of the scientists who developed these scales. Page 130. Section 7.3.2 Laboratory Thermometer. There are many types of laboratory thermometers, but the one that might be available in your school may be different. Laboratory thermometers consist of a long, narrow, uniform glass tube which is sealed. At the one end of the tube is a bulb which contains a liquid. Outside the bulb, in the tube, a narrow column of liquid can be seen. There is a Celsius scale marked along the tube. The liquid column rises or falls with change in temperature. The mark of the Celsius scale with which the top level of the liquid column coincides is the temperature. On the bottom of the page is a box with the title, Do You Know? The liquid used in the laboratory thermometer is generally alcohol, colored red to make it easy to be seen, or mercury. Activity 7.3. Let us observe. On the right side of the page is a box that says precautions. These are the precautions that need to be taken while using a laboratory thermometer. 1. Handle with care. If it hits against some hard object, it can break. 2. Do not hold it by the bulb. Let us try to find the temperature range of a given laboratory thermometer. 1. Take a laboratory thermometer and observe it carefully. 2. Note down the following. A. What is the lowest temperature it can measure? Write your answer in the space provided. B. What is the highest temperature it can measure? Write your answer in the space provided. So, the range of this thermometer is, write your answer in the space provided. Now look at the thermometer carefully. Can you tell its range? Its range is from minus 10 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius. Page 131. Activity 7.4. Let us observe and calculate. Let us now try to find the smallest value that a given laboratory thermometer can read. 1. Again take the same laboratory thermometer which you used in activity 7.3 and observe it carefully. 2. Note down the following. A. How much is the temperature difference indicated between the two bigger marks? Write your answer in the space provided. B. How many divisions shown by smaller marks are there between these two bigger marks? Write your answer in the space provided. 3. How much temperature does one small division indicate? Write your answer in the space provided. D. So the smallest value that the thermometer can read is, write your answer in the space provided. On the bottom of the page is a close-up of a part of the laboratory thermometer. Can you now find the smallest value that this laboratory thermometer can read? For the laboratory thermometer, the temperature difference indicated between 0 degrees Celsius and 10 degrees Celsius, or between 10 degrees Celsius and 20 degrees Celsius is 10 degrees Celsius, and the number of divisions between these marks are 10 divisions. So one small division can read 10 by 10 is equal to 1 degree. That is, the smallest value that this thermometer can read is 1 degree centigrade. Your school laboratory may have thermometers for which the range and value of the smallest division may be different. It is therefore always necessary to look carefully at the thermometer you are about to use. You have learned how to find the temperature range of a given laboratory thermometer. You have also learned how to find the smallest value that a given laboratory thermometer can read. We will now learn how to measure temperature using a laboratory thermometer. But let us first learn how to use a laboratory thermometer correctly. Page 132. Correct way of measuring temperature using a laboratory thermometer. On the left side of the page is the setup of an experiment showing the correct way to measure the temperature using a laboratory thermometer. 1. When the thermometer is immersed in water, its bulb should not touch the bottom or the sides of the beaker. 2. The thermometer should be held vertically. It should not be tilted. 3. The temperature must be read while the thermometer is immersed in water. 4. While the reading of the thermometer, the eye should be directly in line with the level of the liquid column to be read. Activity 7.5. Let us measure. 1. Take some warm water in a beaker. Dip the thermometer in the water so that the bulb is immersed in water. 3. Observe the rise of liquid column in the thermometer. Wait till the column stops rising and note the temperature. Do not wait too long, otherwise the water itself will start to cool. What is the temperature of water measured by you? Compare it with the readings of your friends. Do you notice that as soon as you take the thermometer out of the water, the level of the liquid column begins to fall? This means that the temperature must be read while the thermometer is immersed in water. On the bottom left of the page is a schoolgirl asking a question. Can we use a laboratory thermometer for measuring body temperature of a person? Page 133. On the top of the page is a box with the title More to Do. 2 images show the setup of an experiment to measure the temperature of crushed ice and boiling water. There is also a cautionary note in this box. The note says, "Caution. This activity should be performed strictly only under supervision of the teacher. Do not touch the experimental setup." Following 2 experimental setups are to be arranged by your teacher. One by one, as per your turn, go closer to the setups and observe the readings of both the thermometers. What are the temperatures of ice and boiling water? Read the temperatures of ice and boiling water again after some time. Are the temperatures the same or have they changed? You may have noticed that the temperature of water remains constant while it is boiling. Also, the temperature of ice remains constant while it is melting. Activity 7.6. Let us compare. Phoebe's science teacher arranged the experimental setup for measuring temperature of boiling water. The temperature readings of the boiling water taken by Phoebe and her classmates in Shillong are given in table 7.2. In this table, there are 2 columns. The table shows the temperature readings of boiling water taken by Phoebe and her classmates in Shillong. Row 1. Name Phoebe. Temperature of boiling water in centigrades, 97.8 degrees centigrade. Row 2. Shempang. Temperature of boiling water is 98 degrees centigrade. Row 3. Onsta. Temperature of boiling water is 97.9 degrees centigrade. Row 4. Chloe. Temperature of boiling water in degree centigrade is 98 degrees centigrade. Row 5. Bandarisha. Temperature of boiling water in degree centigrade is 98.1 degrees centigrade. Page 134. 2. Compare the temperatures of boiling water recorded by different students. Why are there differences in their readings? Discuss the possible reasons amongst yourselves. Maybe the correct way of reading temperature was not followed by the students. Section 7.3.3 Air Temperature. You might have seen thermometers hung on the walls of your school laboratory, doctor's clinic, and hospitals. These give an approximate idea of the room temperature. On the left side of the page, an image of a room temperature is given. Have you seen weather reports in newspapers, TVs, or internet? These reports also mention the maximum and minimum air temperatures of the day. Activity 7.7. Let us analyze. 1. Read or listen to the weather reports for a place for 10 successive days. 2. Record the maximum and minimum air temperature for each day in Table 7.3. Table 7.3. Maximum and minimum air temperature. In this table, there are 4 columns. In the 10 rows given below, you need to write the date, maximum air temperature, and minimum air temperature using the weather reports of a particular place. 3. Analyze the data in the table 7.3. Page 135. Does the maximum and minimum temperature stay at the same level during these days? Because weather depends on several factors, these temperatures usually vary every day. Generally, as we approach the summer season, the temperature rises, and during the winter season, it falls. In the center of the page is a box with the title, More to Know. There are many techniques for measuring air temperature. Air temperature is an important weather parameter and is monitored at weather stations all over the world. The data gathered on air temperature along with various other parameters are used for making weather forecasts. In the bottom of the page is a box with the title Know a Scientist. Anna Money, 1918 to 2001, was an Indian scientist also known as the Weather Woman of India. She invented and built a large number of weather measurement instruments. This reduced the reliance of India on other nations for such instruments. She also explored the possibility of using wind and solar energy in India. Her work helped India to become one of the global leaders in renewable energy. Page 136. Keywords from this chapter: air temperature, Celsius scale, clinical thermometer, degree Celsius, degree Fahrenheit, Fahrenheit scale, Kelvin, Kelvin scale, laboratory thermometer, SI unit of temperature. Temperature: analyze, calculate, compare, discuss, infer, investigate, measure, observe, precaution, predict, record. Summary and key points. 1. The temperature of a body tells us how hot or cold it is. 2. The 3 most used scales of temperature are A. The Celsius scale, B. The Fahrenheit scale, and C. The Kelvin scale. The units of temperature in these scales are A. Degree Celsius, denoted by degree C, B. Degree Fahrenheit, denoted by degree F, and Kelvin, denoted by K. 3. The SI unit for temperature is Kelvin. 4. A clinical thermometer is used for measuring body temperature. 5. The normal temperature of a healthy human adult is taken to be 37 degrees centigrade or 98.6 degree Fahrenheit. 6. The laboratory thermometers typically have a temperature range from minus 10 degrees centigrade to 110 degrees centigrade. Page 137. Let us enhance our learning. Question 1. The normal temperature of a healthy human being is close to fill in the blank using the option. Option 1. 98.6 degrees Celsius. Option 2, 37 degrees Celsius. Option 3, 32 degrees Celsius. Option 4, 27 degrees Celsius. Question 2. 37 degrees Celsius is the same temperature as fill in the blanks using the options given below. Option 1, 97.4 degree Fahrenheit. Option 2, 97.6 degree Fahrenheit. Option 3, 98.4 degree Fahrenheit. Option 4, 98.6 degree Fahrenheit. Question 3. Fill in the blanks. A. The hotness or coldness of a system is determined by it. Fill in the blank. B. The temperature of ice cold water cannot be measured by a dash thermometer. Fill in the blank. C. The unit of temperature is degree dash. Fill in the blank. Question 4. The range of a laboratory thermometer is usually fill in the blank using option 1, 10 degrees centigrade to 100 degrees centigrade. Option 2, minus 10 degrees centigrade to 110 degrees centigrade. Option 3, 32 degrees centigrade to 45 degrees centigrade. Option 4, 35 degrees centigrade to 42 degrees centigrade. Question 5. 4 students used a laboratory thermometer to measure the temperature of water. On the bottom of the page is an image of 4 students holding the thermometer in various positions. One student is holding the thermometer in a slanting position. The second student has a half immersed thermometer in a straight position. The third student has a fully immersed thermometer in a straight position. And in the last image, the fourth student has placed the thermometer along the wall of the beaker. Page 138. Who do you think followed the correct way for measuring temperature? Option 1, student 1. Option 2, student 2. Option 3, student 3. Option 4, student 4. Question 6. Color to show the red column on the drawings of the thermometers as per the temperatures. In the middle of the page are images of 3 thermometers. You need to color the red line till the reading of the thermometer. The first reading is 14 degrees centigrade. The second reading is 17 degrees centigrade. And the third reading is 7.5 degrees centigrade. Question 7. Observe the part of the thermometer and answer the following questions. In the bottom of the page, there is an image where a thermometer is placed in horizontal position and the minimum reading on the thermometer starts at minus 10 degrees Celsius. 7a. What type of thermometer is it? B. What is the reading of the thermometer? C. What is the smallest value that this thermometer can measure? Question 8. A laboratory thermometer is not used to measure our body temperature. Give reasons. Page 139. Question 9. Vaishnavi has not gone to school as she is ill. Her mother has kept a record of her body temperature for 3 days. Table 7.4. Body temperature record of Vaishnavi. In this image, there are 2 columns. The first column is the day and the second column is the temperature. The second column is further subdivided into 6 columns showing the times of the day: 7 a.m., 10 a.m., 1 p.m., 4 p.m., 7 p.m., 10 p.m. Row 1 is the temperature of day 1. Vaishnavi's temperature at 7 a.m. was 38 degrees Celsius. At 10 a.m. was 38 degrees Celsius. At 4 p.m. was 38 degrees Celsius. At 7 p.m. was 40 degrees Celsius. At 10 p.m. was 39 degrees Celsius. Row 2, day 2. Vaishnavi's temperature at 7 a.m. on day 2 was 38.6 degrees Celsius. At 10 a.m. was 38.8 degrees Celsius. At 1 p.m. was 39 degrees Celsius. At 4 p.m. was 39 degrees Celsius, at 7 pm was 39 degrees Celsius, at 10 pm was 38 degrees Celsius. Row 3, day 3. Vaishnavi's temperature at 7 am on day 3 was 37.6 degrees Celsius, at 10 am was 37.4 degrees Celsius, at 1 pm was 37.2 degrees Celsius, at 4 pm was 37 degrees Celsius, at 7 pm was 36.8 degrees Celsius, at 10 pm was 36.6 degrees Celsius. A. What was Vaishnavi's highest recorded temperature? B. On which day and at what time was Vaishnavi's highest temperature recorded? C. On which day did Vaishnavi's temperature return to normal? Question 10. If you have to measure the temperature 22.5 degrees Celsius, which of the following 3 thermometers will you use? Image of 3 thermometers are given at the bottom of the page. Explain. Page 140. The image of a thermometer is given. The temperature shown by the thermometer is option A, 28 degrees Celsius, option B, 27.5 degrees Celsius, option C, 26.5 degrees Celsius, option D, 25.3 degrees Celsius. Question 12. A laboratory thermometer has 50 divisions between 0 degree Celsius and 100 degrees Celsius. What does each division of this thermometer measure? Question 13. Draw the scale of a thermometer in which the smallest division reads 0.5 degrees Celsius. You may draw only the portion between 10 degrees Celsius and 20 degrees Celsius. Question 14. Someone tells you that she has a fever of 101 degrees. Does she mean it on the Celsius scale or the Fahrenheit scale? Learning further. 1. Gather information from the internet and find out how the body temperatures of animals such as a cat, dog, horse, camel, cow and buffalo is measured. If there is any veterinary hospital in your vicinity, you may visit to see the body temperature of animals being measured. 2. Find out which places in India are usually regarded to be the coldest and the hottest. Also, find out the minimum and the maximum temperatures recorded for these places. 3. Various planets in our solar system are at different distances from the Sun. Search the internet and make a table with the planets, their distances from the Sun in increasing order, and the temperatures written. Does the average temperature of planets decrease as their distance from the Sun increases? If it is not true for any planet, find out which planet and why. 4. Hang a room thermometer in your classroom. Set up the apparatus near the thermometer hung on the wall. Take the readings of thermometers 1 and 2 3 times during the day. Say the first period, lunch break and last period. Page 141. Record your readings. Compare the reading and draw your conclusion. Repeat this for 2 weeks. In the center of the page is an image of a setup to measure the temperature of water and room temperature. In the bottom of the page is a box that says, More to know. The temperature at the core of the Sun reaches as high as 15 million degrees Celsius. Are there objects in the sky that have even higher temperatures? There is no limit on the highest temperature that can exist. However, as per scientific understanding, there is a limit to the lowest temperature that can be achieved. It is close to minus 273.15 degree Celsius or 0 Kelvin and is called absolute zero. Chapter 7 ends here.
Curiosity. You were just listening to this audiobook, Textbook of Science for Class 6. Narration, Dr. Pranita Gopal. Technical coordination, Bati Langlingdo. Sound recordist, Virendra Rawat. Assistance in production, Surendra Kumar. Directed and produced by Vimalesh Chaudhary. This audiobook is brought to you by CIET NCERT, New Delhi, India.